Hey y'all! So I wanted to go over some money-saving tips and tricks that I have discovered during this process. This is obviously my first home renovation. I'm a first-time home buyer and I'm definitely on a budget, as I'm sure many people are. I'm so sorry guys. The UPS guy just drove by twice and I have no curtains or anything on my windows and he parked right in front of my window and it was super awkward. Oh, okay, I'm so glad that's over. Whew, starting over. My number one tip would be first to know your budget, know what money you're working with. You can't just start buying things because all the little things add up, and I promise you that they do. So know your budget, know how much you're spending, write down a list of what you're spending every single day. And I mean like all the little things you don't think about, like screws and nails and hinges for your cabinets and paint, all that stuff. Write it all down, keep track of what you're spending and how much you have left. Keeping track of what you're spending during this process can allow you to later on figure out how much money you put into this house so that if you want to sell it one day, you know how much this house is really worth. I would really recommend doing that. I've been trying to go through my bank statements and kind of figure out what I have been spending money on and what has been like the really, really big things. But getting back to money saving tips and tricks, let me grab my phone because I wrote down a whole list on here of things that I thought really helped. So the number one thing I have on here, I actually did not end up doing, but I'm going to tell y'all anyway because I know someone can do this themselves. I just do not have the means, and at least in my town, there's not a lot of people available to do this for me. The building process is really hard. There's very few people that can install cabinets in this town. It would be months and months before they would get to it, so it just wasn't worth it for me. But this is also something you can do yourself. Okay, rant over. So getting a butcher block slab in Lowe's that is pre-cut and sold as a big slab, it was only about $960 for a really big countertop. Getting pre-cut butcher block and installing it yourself as your countertop is huge. So that would have saved me so much money. I just do not have the tools. I don't have the saw. I should know what it's called, table saw, to install a countertop myself. But I think that would be a great option, and honestly I don't think it's that hard. It was just kind of having the tools to do so, or knowing someone who can help you with it, hiring someone. I still think it would have been less expensive than getting custom-made countertops. And now I did end up going with, actually of all things, after this whole long process of me explaining solid surface, butcher block, and all that, I ended up going with quartz countertops. And I know you guys are gonna be like, what the heck, Abby, those are so expensive, what are you doing? And it ended up actually that I chose a grade A quartz, which means that it was a little bit less expensive version of some of the other quartz countertops in Lowe's. The color I chose is Divinity. And funny enough, I was between granite and quartz at the very end because solid surface was way more expensive at my Lowe's, the grade that I would have chose. So I was looking at grade A, granite, and quartz. And the quartz ended up being about the same price as the granite, which I was like, wow, okay, like let's go with quartz. I liked the color better. I chose a white color that's pretty seamless and natural. So I ended up going with quartz. That is going to get installed hopefully soon. I need to call the countertop people back to come and measure, and there's a whole long process with Lowe's. But Lowe's has been really good about it. It ended up costing me about $2,000 to pay for it. That's the countertop, them installing it. I had to tear out the old countertops myself. I chose to do that, so if you don't do that, it will be a little bit more expensive. Just something to note. And I decided to buy a new sink, all that good stuff. So it only ended up being $2,000, which to me seemed like a really good price for a countertop. Especially since I'm tearing out the old countertops myself. I think that's huge. It really is not that hard to tear out old countertops, so that is probably something you should do. I would definitely recommend tearing out your old countertops so that you don't have to pay someone to do that, because that's just an extra fee on top of everything else. The next tip I would recommend to save some money is to paint your own cabinets. Now, this has been kind of a nightmare for me, I'm not gonna lie. The finish on my cabinets, I sanded them down and obviously tried to take as much paint as I could off, but they ended up being super smooth when I sanded them down. Paint is not sticking as well. I would maybe recommend a primer, but I'm just having to do more coats. So basically, it's like you use a primer, do less coats, or you just do more coats of your paint. So That's been an interesting process. I'm probably gonna end up having to do like 3 or 4 coats on my cabinets. Now on my walls back here, I only had to do 2 coats, so that's pretty dang good. And that actually brings me to my next money saving tip, is to paint your own walls. Obviously in your ceilings and your trim, it makes everything look so much better. Don't hire someone to do that. I know it takes a lot of work, and it's gonna be a long weekend for you and your family if they're helping you out. It was an interesting long weekend for us. We're gonna have to have another long day tomorrow and today of painting, but it's so worth it, man. You save so much money rather than hiring someone. I also used Valspar paint at Lowe's instead of Sherwin-Williams. Now I know Sherwin-Williams is a great paint. It's probably really good quality, but it was a little bit more expensive than the Valspar paint. I showed it in one of my last videos that I used like a signature primer and paint that had both in it as Valspar brand, and I wanted a Sherwin-Williams color, so I was really torn. I was like, okay, like what am I gonna do? I want a Sherwin-Williams color, but I know I don't want to pay for that paint. So I went up to the Lowe's counter and I was like, hey guys, can you just do this color that's a Sherwin-Williams color called Gracious Grayish, which I've probably said 5 million times in these videos. It's my favorite color ever. It's the one on the wall right now. And they were like, oh yeah, we can mix a Sherwin-Williams color with a Valspar paint instead. It's really easy to go up and ask for that. Just say, I want this color, but I want to use this Valspar paint. And they're like, okay, cool. And it costs way less money. So one tip, and I say way less, it was a couple dollars less, but for me it was worth it. It's just one way to cut corners. Because like I said, all the little things started adding up. Another tip would be trying to save and salvage anything that you can in your house. So try to salvage the old hinges, the old screws, the old doorknobs, anything that you can salvage in your home. Try to make it work, whether that means spray painting it or just refinishing it, cleaning it up. Try your best to save it. Now that means that a lot of my hinges in my home and my doorknobs were rusted and beyond repair, so I have to get new ones. But I think that kind of stuff, that little stuff really does add up. So try to save as much as you can and make it work. Turn it into something beautiful, DIY it. It's better than buying something brand new. A great way, as I said earlier, as a money saving tip, was to get my family to help me. We tore up the floors ourselves. We sanded the walls, painted the walls, did everything that we possibly could ourselves. We're going to tear up the countertops ourselves. As I said, doing any and everything that you can with help from people you know, friends, family. Makes it go faster, makes your time, you have more time to do all this stuff, and it's way less expensive. Don't pay someone to do something that you can do yourself. And I'm telling you, I'm 24 years old. I'm weak. I'm not very strong. I'm kind of a wimp about things. And if I can do this, then so can you. I'm telling you, if I can do this, then so can you. Another really, really big money saving tip that really helped me was buying a lot of my lighting fixtures for my ceilings and like bedrooms, dining room, all that good stuff for the kitchen from Amazon. Amazon has really, really great deals on anything. I'm talking like hinges, lighting fixtures. I think it's because they sell it in bulk, but it's always got these really great deals. Obviously, if you have Amazon Prime, then you get free shipping, so that's always nice. And I got free shipping on all of mine regardless, and I don't have Amazon Prime, so I would always recommend looking at Amazon first. That's been like the #1 place I've been buying everything from. Besides lighting fixtures, they obviously have trim pieces for your baseboards. They have hinges for your cabinets. They have faucets and sinks. I actually bought my sink for my kitchen and my faucet for my kitchen from Amazon, and it was not very expensive. I believe my faucet was $70 and my sink was about $200, and it's stainless steel, undermount, really big sink. So it's just definitely look at those places first. I feel like a lot of smaller like boutique type stores can kind of price up some of these items, so definitely look. Another good way is to Google search. Find a sink you really like from, say, somewhere expensive, and then search it on Google and look for the cheapest option of that sink. It will come up with all the options of all the places that sell it and find the cheapest one to buy it. Normally it's Amazon. So that's just a really good, easy tip. And I think that this is really it for all the money saving tips that I have so far. I hope that this helped y'all out. I really do. And I feel like another really good thing to do that I just want to add here at the end is through this whole process of renovating, you really need to write a list of what's most important and what you have to do in what order. I did not think about this whenever I started this whole process, and thank goodness my mom has helped me through this whole thing. She thought about things that I did not think about, so shout out to my mom for helping me with that. But just, knowing that you should probably tear up the floors and refinish the floors before you paint your baseboards. Or, you should probably tear off your countertops before you paint your cabinets. And install the new countertops, maybe before you paint your cabinets or after. Everything affects everything else. We had to have him take the light fixtures down, the old ones, and we had to paint the ceiling before he could put up the new lighting fixtures. So right now we don't have any light. And you have to think about, okay, so now that I don't have any light, I can only paint during the day. All these little things that affect everything else that you don't think about until you're in it. That is really big for me. So I had the order that I did everything in was, we started tearing up the floors day one. And as we were tearing up the floors, my mom and I kind of started painting little things, like we took out kitchen cabinet drawers and took off the doors of the cabinets and started painting those downstairs, while my boyfriend was tearing up the floors upstairs. When he was done, then we finally decided to put all the drop cloths down and start painting all of the walls and the ceilings. Now that we've painted the walls and the ceilings, we did not use painter's tape on the trim because we have crown molding and trim and baseboards around the bottom, but we're going to have to use painter's tape because we've already painted the walls when we paint the trim, so we don't want to get white on the walls, obviously. Just little things like that. So we've started painting, and now we're going to do the countertops kind of in the midst of this. The floor guy is going to come refinish the floors here soon. Everything has to be up off of the floors when he comes to refinish them, so we have to clean up after our painting mess. Yeah, everything has an order to it. You really have to stay organized and don't do something too crazy without thinking it through first and thinking about, wait a minute, oh, I can't paint the ceilings when there's my new lighting fixtures up already because I'm gonna get paint on them. And just little things that kind of make your life easier. As I said, I really hope this video helped y'all. If you're going through a first-time renovation like I am, it's definitely a lot of work. I put in a lot of time and effort to this. Every weekend I spend here, and I'm super, super proud of myself and super grateful to my family and my boyfriend for helping me. This is just, it's really a lot to take on by yourself. I'm not saying that you couldn't do it by yourself, but it's actually been fun to put my effort and energy into something that's so rewarding in the end. Especially in the painting, you can see that it makes such a big difference right away, and it's really fun. And it's fun to come up with money-saving tips and ideas through this process because you figure out what your skills are, skills that you didn't even know you had, and it's really interesting to see what you can do when you set your mind to it. So I would encourage you all to try to do as many things as you can yourself. Try to do DIYs. Try to, do anything that you can yourself. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I will see you all next week. Bye, guys.